The one thing I do more than playing video games is waiting for video games. I'm sure you can relate to that. But let me ask you something. Do you enjoy the hype cycles as much as you used to? Maybe you do, but I really don't. Of course, part of that is always going to be because I'm not a kid anymore, so it's much harder to pop off of whatever Pokemon game Game Freak is pumping out for the holidays. But that's not the only reason. I sat down and thought about it for a bit. What has been dragging down hype cycles for me? I pretty quickly thought of the internet and all the interactivity I have with fans of the same thing that I'm waiting for. So is that what's killing the vibe for me? Is it what's killing the vibe for you? Well, let's find out by taking a look at how the internet changed video game hype cycles and decide whether or not it's been a positive or negative force in our experiences. Of course, if you like this when you're finished, please like and subscribe, and let's get into this. I'm just about old enough to remember the days of getting video game news through magazines. Not really because I'm that old, but more because I spent a chunk of my life on a remote island in the middle of nowhere. Back then, you were limited to what the developers chose to officially publish and only ever got to see screenshots of the games. If you were lucky, you'd catch the odd advert on TV, but that's about it. I can't say I only have fond memories of rushing to check the Pocket World magazine for any updates on Pokemon Black and White, but of course, the internet comes in eventually. Right away, you can see the improvements the internet initially made for video game marketing, and just marketing in general. Creating dedicated and easy to access websites made spreading information even easier. I think the best early examples would be the website for Smash Bros. Melee and Smash Bros. Brawl, where the sites would be updated with trailers revealing new fighters and stages. By far the most obvious improvement the internet made was the ability for developers to share gameplay footage to their fans to give them a better idea of how their game was going to work. The elephant in the room here is YouTube, one dedicated place where everyone was going to watch videos, basically tailor-made for advertising. If we flash forward to today and we see how far YouTube advertising has come, with Sony, Microsoft and Nintendo all having their own dedicated YouTube presentations for upcoming projects. What's definitely the most successful of these is the Nintendo Direct, which can be a great source of excitement packed with lots of exciting reveals. Well, sometimes they have exciting reveals. As much as I liked reading the magazines back in the day, it doesn't compare to the fun of sitting with friends and watching a presentation about all the games you're looking forward to. So yeah, I've made it pretty obvious that the internet has significantly improved the ease of communication between the publishers and the consumers. So there's nothing bad to say here. It's an overall positive. So where is the negative side to this? I'll tell you what it is. It goes back to ease of communication, but not between publishers and fans, but between fans and other fans. Don't get me wrong, the shared excitement can be really fun. I'm not ignoring that in any way. I remember back when Pokemon Sun and Moon were coming out, I spent a lot of time on the Sumo Amino and had a fun time just talking to people and sharing the anticipation for those games. Let me know which games you guys had fun talking about online, because most of mine will be Pokemon examples. It's like the Virgin's Call of Duty. But ease of communication can very easily lead to inflation of expectations, especially when coupled with long hype cycles. All this mass speculation amongst millions of people will no doubt cause your imagination to run at least a little wild, and before you know it, you're expecting some SAO level of immersion, the game, not the actual show, and that Jesus Christ himself will come out of the screen and relieve you of all your life problems. But instead you get Cyberpunk 2077. We all know that was a shit show, but here's the thing, I promise, if that game released without all of those crazy bugs and glitches, people would still be disappointed. I don't think I've ever seen expectations run more wild than I had with Cyberpunk. Sure, it can make it more fun for some people, but when the nature of the hype cycle twists into something completely different to what the publisher wants, it gets messy, and almost always ends in disappointment. Of course with Cyberpunk, the fans aren't 100% to blame. CD Projekt Red screwed up massively, but I do think it's still the best example of what I'm trying to say. And yeah, I expect this to continue to be a problem. If I had to guess, I'd say the next time it becomes that big of a problem would be GTA 6, because damn, that game is anticipated to hell and back. The other downfall of being able to talk to each other so easily is mass gathering of online dipshits. And let's move back into my familiar territory for this example. Pokemon Sword and Shield. First of all, that game is heavily flawed, but Pokemon fans went too far. Like really too far. If you're unaware, Pokemon Sword and Shield was the first mainline game to not feature the full Pokédex, which is fine by me, but fans freaked out. it sparked a huge hate campaign that is still going on to this day. Members of the Pokemon community were sending death threats to series creator Junichi Masuda and game director Shigeru Omori. All over Twitter, you see constant slander directed at individuals in the Pokemon company. Hell, someone went so far as to falsely accuse Masuda of the R word to try and ruin his career. But it doesn't stop there. God forbid you'd say you weren't too fussed about the national dex being removed, because you'd have a storm of molten lava and hatred knock you off your feet. These fans were nothing short of the word rabid. Like I said, there's valid criticism to be given to recent Pokemon games, but going about it in the hellish way the national dexers did just ruins all the fun that some other people may want to have. I've never felt less excited about Pokemon than for Sword and Shield, purely because of all the incels being downright disrespectful towards everyone. It seems as time goes on, this sort of thing becomes more and more common, and it just sucks the fun out of every trailer drop or news reveal that the internet used to be so good for. Also, there's the added toxicity that comes from when a review outlet shares its score, and that typically starts off a whole other argument on its own. Yeah, it's not fun. Another bad thing about fan interactivity: leaks. They ruin everything. I do not know why there are people out there who think it's cool to go and data mine a preloaded game and then spread every single piece of info they find online. Why? I will die before I see a new Pokemon game release without leaks. I do play other games, I swear, but the franchise is such a versatile example in most video game scenarios, so I'm gonna milk it. The entire point of being hyped to play a new Pokemon game is to see a bunch of new Pokemon, but then you go online and some chump has leaked it all and everyone is spreading it like wildfire. It really annoyed me to see all the starter evolutions get spoiled and just ruin the fun of being surprised by them all. I was doing well to avoid them, but I don't know why. My friends always seem adamant about posting every possible Pokemon leak in our group chat, and what am I supposed to do? Not talk to my friends? So part of the blame is on the homies, but I wouldn't have that problem if people just didn't leak shit. Leaks suck, and you can't tell me otherwise. Don't hit me with the just stay offline until the game is out. No! That's such an unreasonable thing to ask of a person in this day and age. I shouldn't have to shelter myself because of some asshole who thought they'd spend their day data mining a kid's game. Leaks don't stop there though. There's also those industry insiders who leak out as many upcoming announcements as they can and just kill all the excitement when events like a Nintendo Direct comes around. I think the biggest example that affected me was all those leaks about the Switch's hybrid design and slide-on controllers that came out way before the reveal. So when Nintendo announced this innovative hybrid console, I wasn't surprised or that excited because so many people had already leaked it. I mean, the Switch went on to disappoint me in all sorts of ways, but that's a video for another time. Now, for those types of leaks, you could say these people are trying to make a living by selling the story, and who am I to stand in the way of people chasing the bag? It still annoys me though, I could say that. For example, that Nvidia leak that revealed a bunch of unannounced games that were being tested with Nvidia products. Yeah, think about how many people were robbed of potential pop-offs by this leak. I'm sure a lot of you watching may have your own leak stories, and I'd like to hear them and how it changed your attitude towards leaks in general. But having said all that, I think that about rounds up the good and the bad of the internet in relation to our trusty video game hype cycles. So what's coming out on top, the good or the bad? Well, obviously, it's significantly improved our access to official gameplay footage, which is an upgrade that I can hardly describe how significant that is. But yeah, thanks to the internet, we also have more access to humans. If you haven't noticed, we like to ruin everything. The amount of toxicity that's been injected into the build-up to any game, plus the amount of industry and data-related leaks that just ruin everything, all this has drained the fun out of watching any presentations. Surprises are dead in this culture of endless information. So yes, the internet has ruined video game hype cycles. Like, subscribe, comment. Long story short, we can't have nice things.